Grab your pre-workout and turn up that volume. It is time for a new episode of the Powerlifter's Den with your host, Cam Smith. What's up, Powerlifter's Den family? Want to rep the podcast and look good while doing it? Check out my official merch store at plden.company.site. We've got tees, hoodies, beanies, hats, and more, and gear that'll keep you motivated in and out of the gym. Every purchase helps support me and the podcast and keeps the den growing strong. So whether you're hitting a heavy squat session or just lounging in style, we've got you covered. Head to plden.company.site and grab your merch today. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Powerlifter's Den. I'm your host, Cam Smith, and today I wanted to bring on someone who has been on the podcast before and has done a lot of cool things since then. And the bench specialist himself, Tony, has now gone to full power Tony. So, Tony, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, like you said, Tony Carlino. I like to say I'm full-time bench only, part-time full power now. Co-owner, co-founder of EverStrong. We're trying to get that up and running, me and my wife. So that's basically it.
Yeah, so before we kind of talk about the full power Tony and the EverStrong and all that, let's talk about back to the basics. I'm sure we covered before about kind of what got you into powerlifting, but maybe what got you involved in the sport, kind of growing over the years. Obviously, you've been chatting with a lot of people. You have a great influence on a lot of these bench specialists. So maybe talk about that.
Yeah, basically I got into it. I'm sure many people know watching Ryan Kennelly and growing up, and I would always reach out to anyone and everyone I could just to get little bits and pieces of whatever I could to gain that extra pound and stuff. And so now people are kind of doing that to me, and it's cool to kind of do these podcasts or do Q&As or whatever on Instagram, and just people messaging me and being able to help them. It's cool to do that, like, full circle type thing and kind of give back and help anybody any way I can in any realm, single ply, multi-ply, band. So
yeah, and I think that's one of the things that is cool about powerlifting is the people that kind of started this whole thing have always been super helpful with each other. Like, yeah, some groups kind of would keep little secrets and things like that, but most of the community would always share what they learned, and you can clearly see today's that it's carried on with what you do in terms of helping people that reach out to you with no questions asked. You're not just like, hey, yeah, cool, I'll help you, but you got to pay me $50 for my advice.
yeah, I just had somebody reach out to me today just asking, like, we basically went through, like, rescheduled his whole, like, training cycle because he kind of wants to focus on more bench but still keep the other two lifts in, and we basically were going back and forth all day and kind of found something that worked for him. And I love doing that stuff. Some things you don't need money for that stuff. It's the love for it. I'll chit chat, especially bench, but powerlifting all day, it don't matter to me. It's fun.
Yeah, with kind of people reaching out to you now that you have experience doing, I mean, you obviously have done full power before, but have now kind of accomplished some other things with that. What are some of the things that people have been asking you?
When my next full power is. Everyone wants to know when the next one is. What is going to be? Go for 3,000 unlimited or something like that. I still get mainly just bench questions though. There's not a lot of full power. They just ask me what my next plans are for it, not really how do I do it. The only question I get is how can I squat without squatting? How can I squat so much without squatting in the gym? I don't have an answer for that. I have no idea. Just lucky and genetics, I guess.
Yeah, and with competing full power recently, just maybe tell everybody when was not the recent one, but the last time you did full power before that.
Yeah, before Holy was 2022, so it was like 4 years ago. I squatted 955, opened up with like a 5-pound PR. I squatted 950 before that. And before that, it was 2018. So was that 4 years? So every 4 years, I guess I'm doing full power.
Like the Olympics.
Yeah. That's my Olympics. Yeah, it's perfect. And then I attempted 1,000 there, but I missed it. I came up and got off balance. It wasn't really a strength thing per se, but I only took one attempt at it, and I wanted to save it for bench, my energy for bench. But yeah, 4 years ago was my last full power. Yeah, and it was supposed to be unlimited, and or no, it's supposed to be poly like this one, but I almost bombed out, so I switched to unlimited on my third attempt.
And
Ended up not bombing out, thankfully. So
yeah, and what makes you is it something that you kind of get the itch for every 4 years, like, or is it something that you like feel obligated to do? So, like, what's the reasoning behind the kind of bench specialist that occasionally does full power?
well, I love benching and stuff, but it it can get a little old just going in there doing 3 attempts, training 8, 10, 12 weeks, however long it is, just for 3 attempts. And um, the I had a meet in December, and I ended up bombing myself out. They gave me one lift, but I didn't like it. Asked them to turn it down, so I ended up bombing. And then I was going to come up to Holy Wars anyways to help out some teammates. We had like 4 people competing and like no handlers. So I was like, I'll come up and help handle you guys. Well, 2 of them ended up, dropping out from injuries and whatnot. And so I was like, well, if I'm going up anyways, maybe I can hop in this thing and just see what I can do. So that's how that one came about. It wasn't necessarily a want to do full power, but it was kind of it was ideal training for me. I had one squat and one deadlift session. And I was like, I'm ready to go. Let's do it. I don't like squatting or deadlifting, but yeah, that's how that one came about. So I don't know if I necessarily get the itch for it. I do here and there, and then I'll do one training session. I'm like, no, I'm good. But yeah, I guess I got the itch at the right time, and everything aligned. So
Yeah, well, let's talk about kind of bench only training versus full power training. Obviously, full power, you need to basically be doing like your kind of 4 day split and training everything. And but as a bench guy, it's obviously important that you still train your back and still train your legs. And so I guess what was the sort of, I know you said you kind of did one deadlift, one squat session, but as terms in like accessories and things like that, what are some of the adjustments you made?
to go into full power,
Yeah.
that's at me. I didn't do anything. So I kept my whole training. So I normally have 2 back days a week and then 2 bench focus days. I only bench one day a week, but 2 bench focus days. I changed one of those back days to a squat and then a deadlift day. And then I didn't do any accessories for them or anything. It was like 2 weeks of training. So I was like, there's no point in doing anything crazy, like training my legs or switching anything up. I wanted to squat and bench 1,000. Um, so I was like, I'm gonna keep my bench there, and if I don't squat it, at least I want to hit 1,000. You know what I mean? I want to bench 1,000, I should say, if even if I don't get the squat. So, um, but going forward, I do want to do at least one, maybe 2 more full powers, and things will change going forward for that. I'll definitely throw in instead of 2 bench focused back days, I'll switch one of them to a squat day and deadlift. It'll probably be a alternating like 1 week squat, the next one deadlift, and then throw in the accessories as needed there.
Well, doesn't that make you think just what you could potentially do if you did a full power cycle like that? If you were able
Oh
to
yeah,
do what you did by just kind of just being like, let's see if this works a little bit. All right, I can do it. Let's go compete.
yeah, yeah. It does because and I had some training partners and stuff. Like, dude, if you actually trained your squat, you could squat 12 in time. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that sounds cool. Like, I know I could, and I know the potential is there. I'm physically, like, kind of built for full power, kind of short, stocky. I don't have short limbs, but I don't have long limbs. It's kind of ideal build for the full power stuff. Um, but yeah, I do want to kind of see what I can do. Maybe not go crazy with it for me. Um, go crazy, but I would like to maybe bump it up to see if I can't get an 1,100 to mid 11 squats and get a. I I can deadlift. I just don't like it. So if I spent a little bit, like you said, more time on just technique and then throw in actually training it, there's like 50 pounds right there right off the bat if I just focus on my technique and the suit. I don't have it. None of the gear I was wearing was mine either. The briefs and the squat suit were somebody else's I borrowed. And I mean, they fit me great. Don't get me wrong. They fit me great, but they're not made to me. So um, I'll get suits and briefs made for me and could go even better. So
Well, I mean, let's put it into this perspective. If you were to squat around 1150 to 12, bench over 1,000, and pull 650 or something like that. That puts you over 2,800, and that puts you top 10 total all time. So, and that doesn't seem like something that's very far fetched for you to be able to do for any of those. So,
No, yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah, I just missed the 694 pole this meet for 2,700 total. My first pole got me 25. My second one got me 26, and I was like, well, let's go for 27. In actuality, I shouldn't have done it. I kind of knew it was going to be iffy. Like you got to be really on to hit this, but I should have just went like 660 or 666 or whatever, and got like a high 26s. But that's right.
yeah, but the important thing is you were able to accomplish. You're the second person to do over 1,000 bench and squat in the same meet, obviously next to Dave Hoff. So to be in the same conversation with him is really cool.
Yeah, and that was really important. I've always, not always, but I've wanted to do that. It's been always like a side thing because I know I could hit 1,000 squat. I just had to put together in a meet, and so I thought it would be really cool, and it really meant a lot to be able to do that. And I missed both opening bench. I opened up the one lift I'm good at, and I dump it, and then I missed my second attempt. I'm like, I'm about to bomb out on the one I'm good at. But anyways, yeah, I was able to put together on my third and do that. So real happy about that. Real grateful I could accomplish that goal. It was real cool.
Yeah, and I remember talking with you in the warm up room, and your original opener was the 1025, and you were basically saying that if you can get it to touch and drop the opener, you're definitely going to drop to 1,003. And now, kind of looking back at it, it's kind of interesting to see, not cool to see, but like interesting to see that you kind of needed to be able to do that to kind of get it.
Well, yeah, well, I was thinking back actually this week. I was like just replaying it in my head because it was hard to touch that 1,003. So I was like, what 1025 made it a little easier touch because the press wasn't necessarily hard. It was getting it down. So, but in the warm up rooms, things were feeling heavier than normal. They weren't like feeling too heavy, but I was like, I just felt mentally way more comfortable dropping it that 20 pounds um, to do that. So like who knows? Like maybe I wasn't strong enough to hit it that day. I don't know, but thankfully I did drop it and was able to get that touch on that third, so it wasn't a bad call.
Yeah, and with the 1,000 squat, I think one of the issues that a lot of people that are squatting anything, I guess 1,000 plus, maybe a little bit less, is the whole back fatigue and losing your back. And obviously with benching, it's something that it's a big focus of yours. So did you feel any of that fatigue from that squat? I know it's obviously a different movement, but your back is clearly strong enough to be able to handle that. So how did that feel going into bench?
Actually felt better than I thought. Um, I didn't really feel any fatigue until I went into the third deadlift. Like I believe that's why I didn't get my third deadlift. Once I got it, it popped up and got to my knees. I could feel my back just. It was, it wasn't conditioned. I could that fatigue really set in, but I didn't feel it on bench at all. I know what happened on bench. When I set the rack height too low for my first attempt, and the handoff was off, my fault. And the second one, I bobbled it at the bottom. I was anticipating the press call, a rookie move, and then I thought he was going to say press, and I went and I bobbled it on my right side, and I was like, I'll just take it. But as far as fatigue, there wasn't any fatigue, thankfully. So um, yeah, the squat was fine. Squat didn't even feel that heavy to me. I know I was shaking, but it's my knees have been the past few years on and off. Just like I could do a body weight squat, and at a certain point, I just kind of my knees start shaking. So I got to figure that out and get that straightened out, and then squat should be fine too.
And how was the bench for you? Because some people mentioned in the feedback form that they weren't a fan of the bench, and I guess they could partly take blame for that because that's the bench we use on our Fridays, and I really like that bench. I actually prefer like the soft squishy pad because if I don't, my scaps kind of just go all over the place and it fucks with me. So did the bench affect you at all? Not to like use it as an excuse, but was that anything of concern for you?
No, I actually like it. We used the same. Well, we use the same kind of fat pad, but we use a wider one in training. Use obviously a competition with one. I thought it was going to affect me more, but it didn't. Actually, I liked it a lot. I had no complaints. The only thing that I found was my foot was slipping on my second attempt, but that could have been me, like on the floor, but that had nothing to do with the bench. I think it was just everybody moving in and out and stuff. So, but as far as the bench, I really liked it. I have no complaints.
Yeah, it is something that a few people did mention, so it'd just be interesting to hear from someone that obviously had the biggest bench of the day. So,
Yeah, yeah, no, I liked it.
and another part with the meat, we can we'll just talk about the meat a little bit before we talk about other things. Is the weather? Obviously, you guys are from Florida. You guys love the nice beach, warm weather, and it was freezing as fuck up in New England. So, how did that affect your day?
I didn't love it, but once I was getting warmed up for squats, it didn't really affect me at all. But it from squats to bench, that's I could definitely tell a difference from doing meets down here to up there. Like you got cold, you had to keep moving around. I was stiffening up a little bit. I think that affected my bench, at least mentally. I was getting, and I think that's why things felt heavier because I was a little more like not achy, like stiff going in there into the bench. So it definitely had a little bit of an effect warming up wise. I don't think in the meet attempt wise, but warming up, it was definitely difficult. And I don't. That was my only thing on that review that you sent out. I was like, I would. The meet was great. I'd do it again if it was somewhere else, or if it was maybe a different time of the year.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely want to do another one in the snow like that. That's
Well, I
just
think that's one of the adjustments we're going to make is if we do keep it at Evolve, which I really obviously my opinion's biased because I train there, but I think it just ends up it's just a perfect venue for a powerlifting meet with the warm up room and just the size of it and in the location. It was great, but the one of the adjustments we might make is kind of move it out to March and just hope that we're going to get one of those 50, 60 degree days because that's way more ideal than I think it was 2 degrees in the morning.
-2. I think yeah, 2 or -2. Yeah, we woke up. I was like, oh my god, we couldn't see the road because of all the snow. I was like, we are not used to this. So yeah, that would be ideal. So
And the internet wasn't a fan of the meet, as is always. But as far as someone who was actually a competitor, what were some of the things that you really enjoyed about the meet from whether it be from the invite, the social media, aesthetic, the judging, all of it? Just kind of give us your honest opinion of what the meet was to you.
no, I love the meet, and I'm not just saying it because I was part of it per se. Um, Obviously, the internet isn't there, and they all judged off a few maybe questionable squats. That's all they saw, and they took it and ran with it, which I understand. But I also wish they would kind of listen to some of us that were there about everything. But the atmosphere was great. I loved freaking the every all the competitors. You know the um, high lifter meet, big names, everybody you know in Equip was there. Warm up room was great. Mike and John accommodating everything and then some what we needed. Um, so that's what I've been telling everybody. Like how I'm like I loved it. It was great. I would definitely do it again. Obviously weather stuff, but yeah, it was one of the most fun, cool. The setup, the whole the platform, all of that was really cool. It was something different than you see at most meets. So they're really like you can tell a lifter's put on that meet, you know. So you can tell a lifter was like, what would I want and gave that and it turned out really good.
Well, that was I think that's one of the cool perspectives with it, with like me being on the board and the background of a lot of it was I was competing. So I got to be like, well, what the hell do I want at this meet? How
Yeah,
do I want it set up? And I think it ended up being very well. I wouldn't have changed much besides, yeah, I wish it was a little warmer. Even being up here myself, I wish it was warmer. But as far as the internet aspect of it, it almost comes to me as like I did a good job with promoting it because a lot of people were aware of it and had eyes on it, kind of being like, "Oh, it's going to be a shit meat because it's IPA," and so they were already aware of it to begin with, whether it's positive or negative. It's kind of the whole thing of like, there's no such thing as bad PR.
yeah, exactly. And like I said before, everyone was just judging off a few squats. I didn't interact with too many people about it because it was just silly, but they're like, I saw all the squats were high. I'm like, there was 32 lifters. How many? And I believe there's 30, around 32 lifters. I was like, how many squats did you actually see? And they're like, well, I saw like the 3 or 4. I'm like, "Yeah, exactly. Like you didn't see you're not you didn't see all the women kill it out there, squat to depth, and every other guy. Like, yes, there was some questionable squat calls, just like pretty much every meet. This one just had the biggest squat in history go down, or be attempted. So of course it's going to be seen. And then, like you said, it's kind of unfortunately right now the IPA is getting a little bit backlash on some of the judging and stuff, but all we can do is just and as lifters we can do nothing. Well, we can't judge the meat. And I'm not saying the judges did anything wrong. They judged it how they felt they should. You know what I'm saying? But like, what do you want everybody to do? He's not going to turn down his 1300 squat. Like,
Yeah.
because I don't know. Like, it was way overdone. And people, and I was telling people like, if it doesn't affect you, it didn't take away your record or anything like that. You don't compete in the same weight class, blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't really care as much as you're caring. It was a lot of raw lifters who don't compete and equip, which I'm not saying you can't say a squat is high when you see a high squat, but also you shouldn't be this adamant about going this crazy over a meet, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe I'm,
No,
you know,
I fully agree. One of the things that bothered me was the fact that, like, why do the raw people even care? But the bigger thing was, um, it was no different than any multiply meet that I've seen since I started this sport. Like, I believe overall we do need to kind of have an overhaul with the standards in general, but in terms of what it's been consistently over the past, what, 10, 15 years, it was no particular like outlier from the rest.
yeah. And people are picking and choosing these other squat videos or pictures that are clearly below depth and great squats. And they're like, see, you can do it. I'm like, yes, it is possible. And these are two great squats that you're showing, but you're only showing these. You're not showing the other 500 that are, questionable that caught pass. And I'm not saying it's okay or whatever, but like, just be reasonable with it. You know what I mean? Like the judging or whatever the standards do need to be tightened up a little bit, and I think it'll happen. And things are gonna be fine. Like they're fine now. Like I post, I'm like, give it a week. People are gonna move on. Like everybody's going nuts about it. But um, yeah, it's just a few little adjustments, I think, and well, everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah, and the final point I'll make on this was this past weekend when I was at the Arnold, I ran into RJ Butcher, and he's a phenomenal raw lifter, benches like, I think 550 or something like that. And he even came up to me and was talking and said that like my squat, he was like, I don't know why people are talking shit about it. Like even he thought it was good, and that's coming from a top level raw lifter. And he was saying he was talking about it with Sam Brown and saying like he saw a lot of the good squats. Like so, it's funny the perspective you see. You don't hear that shit from like a lot of the top level lifters because one,
No,
they're either raw and they don't give a fuck, or two, they just understand the sport as a whole better than some 17-year-old high school kid that thinks squatting ass to grass is the holy grail of lifting weights.
yeah, and you're never gonna get in multiply equipment. You're never gonna get as low as raw squats. Um, it's just not gonna happen. And I think, and in the IPA, it's something I read the rule books. I can't remember exactly what it's saying right now, but it was like the top of the thigh has to be lower, or the hip crease has to be lower than the top of the thigh, not necessarily the top of the knee. It's something along those lines. So, and I know a lot of other feds are, the hip has to be lower than the knee. This one, I guess, is slightly a little different. So there's that factor too. But yeah, you don't see the top guys complaining, and like you said, they probably don't care. They're doing their own thing in their own feds, just like we don't care what they do. Like I posted, there was a world record squad. I don't know, I can't remember who it was, but it was raw and it was high. Everybody blew up, but like you saw no geared lifters in the
No,
comments,
never.
anything. It's like, I mean, cool. Well, then if it's high, then next meet go do it again and go lower, or somebody that's complaining go break it. Like we're all just doing this for fun. We're all just lifting weights. We're doing it
Exactly.
because we love doing it. We don't need all this extra stuff from everybody else.
Yeah, and thinking about it like that, like just being at the Arnold this past weekend, my algorithm turned into a ton of bodybuilding shit, and I saw something about like the 1981 Olympia with, I think it was the return of either Columbo or Arnold or something, and like Mike Metzer was supposed to like be the clear winner, and the politics kind of got in the way, and like so that's a little different than got like yes, that deserves backlash because they make money off this shit. They're making millions a years off of sponsors and winning hundreds of thousands off of shows. Like that's their livelihood. This is just a hobby. Like people just need to chill the fuck out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that, I mean, yeah, you said it perfectly. It's a hobby. It's um, a little sidebar. Sometimes I'll with 1,000 pound benches and the band shirts and people, I'm like, and I'll be in my poly like old school mindset, and I'm like, yeah, but we got to do it in poly. Poly is the way. Like that's the standard. That's everything. I'm like, and then normal me comes back. And I'm like, everybody's just having fun. Let's just lift. There's 41,000 pound benchers now in the band shirt, and that's freaking awesome. It's only good for the sport, whether you like it, you don't. Something new has come along. It's kind of reinvented itself. It's kind of given life back to a lot of lifters. So let's just all just have fun. I'm telling myself this, you know what I mean? Like along the side wave, it's just a hobby. We're all just doing this for fun. So yeah. Anyways, I sidetracked on that, but
Yeah, but we can move on to bench. Obviously, you talk about bench a lot and have talked about it probably for hours and hours, but I want to talk about it in a little bit of a different way as like a almost like a way of giving me advice because as we know, my bench kills my total and it really sucks. And I know a lot of it's to do with time in the shirt and the fact that I have super long arms, but as like if you could give me the first thing you would give me in terms of advice to get to where I need to be, what do you think some of the adjustments I need to make? Not necessarily like how I set my shirt or like what I'm doing wrong, but maybe overall in terms of training approach and things like that.
yeah, obviously I don't know how you train really at all as far as accessories and stuff like that. But the one thing I like to try and get people to do or tell people to do is, especially in poly, um, kill your triceps. If you think you're doing enough triceps, do more. I literally do more triceps than I do any other part. I Instead of benching on the second day, I just do triceps. I do not take 2 bench days unless I do like a bamboo bar on my second day, but I'm not speed benching. I'm not anything. I'll do 3 or 4 exercises of triceps. Um, you can never have enough tricep in the bench. It's equipped bench world. So I don't know how many you're doing now, but do more. You know what I'm saying? Especially you with longer arms, you still have a lot to fill out. You're still young, so don't neglect them. Do it like I say, do more. Throw in an extra set, and then throw in an extra exercise. You know, every like 3 or 4 weeks, just throw something else in. Well, you like and just kill it. And then over time, you're going to build up so much more capacity for it, and um, it's only going to help. I don't think people hit accessories, especially on triceps, enough. I'll ask a lot of people that I train with and stuff, how much triceps are they doing? Like, oh, I'll do after we bench, I'll go do some rope push downs, and then my second day I'll do some dumbbell rollovers or rollbacks and some skull crush. I'm like, we gotta kill it. Like they say triceps 75% of your arm. I think it's 90% of my arm. It's and I'm a little genetically gifted. I'm short and stuff, but um, yeah, I think people need to hammer triceps way more. Just not talking shirt set, like you said, not talking anything technique wise. I would just that's the number one thing I would focus on.
And for the tricep training, is it more high rep or is it heavy or a good healthy mix of both?
Literally a mix of both. I'll do if the weeks I don't shirt in the heavy day, I'll do um, one maybe two things, and it's usually heavy, like 6 reps heavy. I don't do it a lot, but every other week is like you can only get like 6 reps out of it. Then on Friday, my next bench day, it's everywhere in between. Usually the workout starts where I'm hitting 8 to 12 reps on something, then it ends with higher reps, just to get a ton of blood flow and get the muscles working, kind of like a bodybuilder style. at near the end. So if I do four things, two are pretty heavy, two are moderate and higher reps.
Yeah, and another thing while we're talking about accessories is the upper back conditioning because I noticed that's a big area of weakness for me. I think it's a big area of weakness for a lot of multiply lifters. And what are some of the things that you do to implement that to have a nice, strong, conditioned upper back? Because my bench was actually getting much better in training, and then when it came to the meet, it really took a hard hit, and it. So I want to know what are some of the exercises that you do to make sure it's nice and locked in.
I think one thing that helps for me, especially, I have two back days, so I'm hammering it twice, and it's obviously harder when you're a full power guy to hit just accessories for back twice a week. But one day I do five things. It's like a bodybuilder split, um, and one huge thing that I've changed the past like 2 years, I really don't do any free weights for back. I don't do barbell rows. I rarely do dumbbells. Sometimes I will, um, but it's rare. All machines, all cable stuff, because that's personally where I can feel it the most. Sometimes the free weights, you just, no matter how heavy or light I go, I just can't feel it. And to me, I'm like, if I can't feel it, I don't think I'm working it. Even if it is a little bit, I mentally don't think I'm getting anything out of it. So, and then everything I do is um, geared towards the bench. So, for example, is like if I'm doing a seated cable row, I'm doing it wide and I'm coming in where I touch on the bench. And if I do a lat pull down, I'm coming in and I'm not just hitting my lats, I'm kind of leaning back a little bit and pulling it in to hit that upper back where you squeeze together to get when you get set up. Another one is straight arm cable. I don't know what to call it. Straight arm lat
Pull
cable,
downs, yeah.
and then hold for a three count, 2 to 3 count at the bottom, like you are when you bring the bar out. Um, and then I'll do four exercises, and the last exercise on my back days is kind of a whatever the gym has, bodybuilder style. But I make sure I hit whatever it is. It's how I bench. It's to that bench motion, I should say.
Yeah, and right now I'm in a 6-day split doing a little bit of, like, bodybuilding style training, mostly to, kinda recover from the meet. I'm doing a little bit of a cut just to lose some body fat, and one of the things that I'm really working on is that slow, like, controlled mind muscle connection, and one of the things I've noticed is that when I don't really feel it exercise, I'm like, "I don't wanna be doing this anymore," because if like you were saying, if you don't feel it, is it even doing anything?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I do. It's and for me, my back is I don't have like the most defined biggest back. I'm wide, but like if you look at me compared to other people, it's like doesn't look aesthetically like theirs. That might have a lot to do with me not deadlifting too, but whatever it is working. I know I'm feeling it. Um, and like you said, if you're not feeling it, A, it makes the exercise a lot less fun. And B, are you really doing anything? So if you're not feeling it for whatever reason, just stop that and just move on to something else. And that's a ton of free weights for me. Like a T-bar row, I'll do that. Just because it's kind of like a Smith machine type of deal. You know what I mean? Like if it's fixed and I can really concentrate, I can do a free weight motion, but I like to stick with the cables and machines. I just feel it's so much more.
Yeah, and it's ironic to me because the biggest muscles on my body are happen to be like the weakest ones and the smallest are the strongest. Like my quads aren't that big. Like they're not tiny. They look kind of small like perspective wise, but they're the strongest muscle in my body by far. And like my shoulders and my back are my biggest muscles, and that's like my biggest area of weak points. So it's ironic that I'm training hypertrophy, but I think if I can learn that mind muscle connection, I have a lot of muscle on that to be able to use that I'm probably not using nearly enough.
Yeah. And a lot of things, sometimes you'll just be doing something and you'll do it some weird, odd way that clicks for you that nobody's ever told you to do. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the fun of all this. The journey along the way is like, oh, now you know to turn your pinky up a little bit more or whatever the case may be. And it clicks, and then it just blows up. And then you can start doing more weight and stuff like that. But yeah, sometimes you walk into a meet and see the biggest, most jacked dude there, and he's like nowhere in contention to winning it. It's like, what? That's crazy.
And with the shirt aspect of it, um, I know someone asked on your story the other day about the whole like when it's out of pop and stuff, but when do you kind of when like find the right tightness for a shirt because I have a 56 SCP. It's old, but it works. But it's not super tight. But I'm also trying to grow into it, and I was kind of maybe thinking about sizing down because I don't really take a lot to touch. Like it's not super long, and I have good patience. So, what are some of the things that you would look for in someone that you'd be like, hey, you need a tighter shirt?
Well, something obviously experience. Um, you can kind of look at the shirt and know, but if we're just talking, I'll speak to you right now on yours. Um, but not seeing you in it might be is a little difficult. But it's kind of like how much are you getting out of it? How strong are you compared to how strong the shirt is? It's kind of hard to explain without just being there and seeing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I could watch you and be like, oh, you definitely not time to. You need to work more on this shirt. And then you can see it move because there's so many little tricks and things you can do to the shirt to get more out of it. Um, you can, you put your hands in upside down and then turn it over. You get that tighter chest collar or chest plate, and that could be a way to see if you want to size down to a 54 or something. To see if you can take a lighter-ish weight with it tweaked or torqued like that. Um, so we have a guy at the gym right now. He's kind of new in the multiply. He's been doing single ply. So, but I look at him and they were talking about him maybe sizing down. I'm like, I don't think he's ready to size down yet. I don't think his strength has caught up to the shirt. You know
yeah.
what I mean? A fine line. There's a lot of moving parts that you kind of have to look at and see. You can't. There's no just blanket, just outright statement that oh, this is this. So it's same thing with the pop question. How like it's losing pop. Is it losing pop or did you lose weight or
Yeah.
did you know what I mean? Or because of the same shirt I had a hard time touching 1,000 in 20 pounds ago, I was touching 825, no problem. You know what I mean? So it's just like you get bigger, it's going to have the pop back. So,
That's what I'm interested to see with the cut because I'm gonna get back up in a weight, probably try to get a little bit heavier than I weighed in because I weighed in at 259 at Holy Wars. I want to weigh in like anywhere from 262 to 265 at the WPO. And the the interesting thing will be to see with like the fat loss, it's like, will I be even smaller than when I was last time, even though I'm heavier? And so will I need to do something different with my shirt? And I think definitely trying to do the upside down hands will help. But maybe I was thinking about getting the shirt altered, sending it out to Pack a Punch. And actually, while I'm thinking about this, I did have an idea, and I want to know if you think this would work. Is I was thinking about maybe just getting the collar redone, just because it's a little older, a little jacked up because it was Delafav's, and he probably I don't even know what the hell he did to it. But I was thinking about I always end up missing near the end, and I think that's tricep strength, but I also think it's part of the shirt, maybe because I almost kind of lose that like crowbar prying motion towards the end. And I was wondering, do you think grid stitching the sleeves would help?
I don't think if you're missing it at the lockout, I don't think that's going to help. So, do you ever fold over your sleeve from the top, like bring it down and fold it over?
Yeah, so we sometimes do the tricep cuff, and it's one of the things that I am working on. And I think part of it's a little bit of the shoulder issue I'm having, but I always get super, super tucked if we go heavy on the tricep cuff.
Okay. Um, I was going to say do that. Also, it depends. How tight are the end of your sleeves down by like your elbow?
Eh, they're like I'd say medium tight. I do roll it once, and it's like not necessarily snug, maybe like 5% less than what you'd say is snug.
Okay, if you have room, so my buddy Chad, he does this because the sleeve's a little long. He rolls it up because it's super long. He rolls it up and then he leaves some and he'll roll it back down so it's extra tight right there. If that's not tight enough, so I like a really tight. uh I mean, it's tight. Like it's not like cutting off circulation, but it's tight right by the elbow because that tricep right there, that's your lockout power. I mean, more, but that is helps your lockout power. So when you're coming up and benching, and you get it, and then you turn out and spread. That's all that tricep right there. So if there's material and tightness right there, that's going to help your lockout a ton. Sometimes I'll see that people with like a little looser sleeve right there and they miss the lockout and I'm like that's exactly why you gotta some people don't like it like tight but that's going to help the tricep. So if you can maybe try folding it one more over because you got long arms, I don't know how much material you got left, um, or if you get it altered try and get like a quarter inch taken out or something, or half, depending on how loose it is.
Yeah, that was
Um,
gonna be my follow-up question is if I sent it out to get the sleeves brought in, what's the correct way to kind of this could probably be useful to a lot of people for any alterations, but what's the correct way to measure what you need to do to it without having the person that's actually working on it there?
I always put it on, and I'll put it on the shirt, and I'll pull it and kind of see how much I have. It usually isn't much. Um, or you can pull the back right here and kind of pinch. If you can pinch material, it's always just a little bit of a guessing game. But I always, no matter what, get it coned. I don't get 2 inches taken out right straight down. It's like 2 inches per se down to 2.5 inches. It's always coned for that lockout reason, that tightness on the elbow right there. That, I think that's key for my shirts. That's, I think everyone should do it. So don't just get it coned straight or just straight down. Make sure you get it coned, and it's kind of a guessing game. I've been pretty good at like just seeing mine and being like, okay, I think a quarter. Get some people, if you have enough room, you can measure it. But yeah. So just kind of err on the side of less, because you can always get it taken in more than too tight, and then you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
So
And with the sleeve too, I know you mentioned rolling it up and I know STPs are notoriously known for having really long sleeves, but where does where does the point of diminishing return go to where yeah, the more you roll it up it's getting tighter, but at that certain point like you're losing like kind of that it's super high up. Like where's that area of like where it needs to be?
yeah, high up. I don't like to see a lot of material way above the elbow. My elbow is legal, and then the sleeve's like right here.
Yeah.
It's like barely above. So if you roll it, I'm rolling it right there. Um if you can't roll it, like you have long arms or something, then just get it taken in and don't roll it. Because I always want it down by my elbow, because it's too far up. You're losing that material right there. That's crucial. So yeah, anything above maybe like 2 finger lengths, like 1 finger length. I say anything two or more is too much.
Okay, well, that's really good to know because I think that's probably where it sits when it's unrolled and it's a long sleeve because I got these monkey arms, so I
Yeah,
definitely think I need to bring it in. And what obviously you can't give an exact poundage, but how much of an impact does that make?
I think it's huge. I honestly think the weight that you're having trouble locking out is going to go smooth. It's not going to be like a grind. You know what I mean? You're going to be able to go and smoothly transition. So maybe everyone's different, obviously, like you just said, but like anywhere maybe between 20-40 pounds, maybe more, depending on the shirt, the actual how it's fitting. But I would say solid 20-25 pounds.
Yeah,
You know,
well, that would be
get it.
great.
Yeah, and knowing how to lock it out too when you're under those weights. For the longest time, I would just press and just try and get it. It's key to when you're getting stuck like that to make sure you turn your elbows out to the weights, like turn out to the weights and spread that bar. So, and that just keeps the bar moving. It's going to move it over your head or towards that direction you want to go, and then spreading the bar. I think a lot of people just keep trying to press up. Um, that combined with the tight sleeve down by the elbow is key.
Cool. Good to know, and we'll see how that works. But since the last time I had you on, if I'm doing the math in my head, it was about 18 months ago, and obviously you were at a high level at that point, but have done some cool things since then. What are some of the biggest things you've learned in the past couple of years?
Not to do every meet that comes around, but um, but I still do that. I'm like, oh, I didn't hit the weight I wanted. Let's jump in this next meet. Um, I One big thing, whether you like them or not, is band shirts help me tremendously with my poly. Like just the overload to handling 12, 1,300 pounds. When I after I benched that 12, well, not the next week because it was right after, but like the next time I was in poly, that's when I hit my 1036. And I think most of the contributing factor was all that time in the band shirt. Obviously technique and stuff, but just if you even if you don't like them, you don't want to ever compete in them. I think it's good to at least invest in maybe like a 2 or 3 ply Widowmaker because it's cheaper. Not everybody's got $500 to throw around in something they're not going to compete in. But and just work that heavy overload. And poly, it just beats you up. The actual shirt beats your body up more than the band shirt will. So it gives your body a nice break while still giving you that overload. I think that's huge. I think that's taught me a lot. So going into like a lot of poly meets, I'll throw in some band shirt work too, just to get that overload and give my body a break. I think that's the number one thing that I've learned um, from going back and forth and stuff like that. Yeah,
It's
I
funny
think
you
that
say that though, because this past weekend I was literally talking about the idea of throwing on a band shirt or using the Raven and getting that overload work because I think if I can get comfortable with holding 650, 700 in my hands, then when I can go to bench 600, it's going to be a lot easier whether or not the shirt is perfectly set how I need it to be.
100%. And if you go, I'm a big proponent of going full range most of the time. But if you go full range with in the Raven or in the band shirt with 750, 800, whatever, you're definitely going to be comfortable going going full range with 600, 650 and stuff like that. As long as your technique's on, you're just going to be cake. You know what I mean? So there's so many benefits in these band shirts, or widowmakers or whatnot. And I think a lot of people should take advantage of them because they're here.
Yeah, and we can we'll kind of move on from bench a little bit because I know you obviously talk about it a shitload, but something that kind of just caught my eye while looking at the questionnaire was the squat mishap story. So let's talk about that real quick.
The squat, the what?
You put on the questionnaire that you had the squat mishap. Uh,
From the meat.
No, well, was it the meet? You didn't really elaborate on it, so it was you put it as your favorite powerlifting story. So
Oh, sorry. Oh. I was confused. Yeah, the one of my this about the only one like training story I had that's kind of crazy is me and an old teammate. We went in the gym, and we're ready to squat. You know how it is. Like, all right, we're gonna squat big, and we walked in and nobody was there. Literally empty gym. We're like, shoot. Well, we're still gonna squat. Like, we won't suit up. We'll just put our briefs on, and so we both do it. And we're going at the time. This was years ago. Um, like 800. So 800 briefs, no reps, nothing. We were just actually we did do reps. Anyways, just briefs, just me and him. So run the mono, run behind, spot, pull it in. So I do mine. He goes to do his. I pull the mono, and I got to duck because he's already squatting. So I'm ducking under the way and go back to spot. Barely gets it. And all right, we got it. And then I go to pull the mono arm in, and I look to my left to make sure that one's in, and then it is. And as is going in, I turn to my right. It's just missing that arm, just in time for me to be able to do nothing at all. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
So I go try and grab it, and it's going, and then all the weights fall off that side. It flings up, almost hits me in the face, goes flying that way. I go back. I step back so I don't get hit. Trip over his shoe. Take a stumble, trip over the monolift leg, go, and it's on a big platform at our gym. Like you got to step up to go to the, fall off that, run into the dip machine that's over there, cut my arm up. It was, I posted a video a couple times of it. It's ridiculous. It looks so silly, like just so dumb. I just go flying off the screen.
Yeah, and it's funny. Obviously, I'm familiar with your old training partner, and I remember one day just scrolling on Instagram, and that popped up, and I was like, "Wait, that's these people," and I was like, "Why the fuck is this? Where is this? I've never seen this." And we sent it in one of our group chats, and it was the funniest thing ever. I'm like, obviously, glad nobody got seriously injured, but that's
Yeah,
definitely one of the craziest equipped squat fuck ups I've ever seen.
yeah. I think Eddie Hall does like fail. He watches fails or something, and I think he had it on there one time. And I was like, somebody sent it to me. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. They made it on one of those because it was so dumb, but it was so one of those experiences you would never take back. Like you'd do it again if you had to just one of those powerlifting moments. That was young and dumb.
Yeah, and there's probably every gym has moments like that, and they're
Oh,
probably half the time the camera's not recording. But
yeah.
luckily, a lot of gyms have security cameras now, and I know at Evolve we have some funny videos from security camera moments. And but kind of moving on from that, we'll kind of spend the last 10 minutes or so talking about EverStrong with you and Shelly, and kind of how that came to be, and what are some of the things that you're trying to do this year with it.
Yeah, so it came to be, so 2019, I was in a hospital, got real sick, didn't have a long or a good chance to live, like 30% chance to live. Ended up making it out, thankfully, obviously, and move and being able to do what I can do. I was told I'd never be able to powerlift again. At the time, I was fine with it, just wanted to, live life. Um, Being able to come back, powerlift, hit goals and stuff like that. And then she years ago got diagnosed with breast cancer. Beat that. It has come back metastasized, and like her bones and stuff. Scan is crazy looking. The original oncologist gave her like maybe 2 years to live. Said there's nothing we can really do. Blah blah blah. Well, she took it upon herself to find a new oncologist and other ways to beat this thing within like I want to say it was like 3 maybe 4 months. No sign, no evidence of disease. Numbers
Hell
way
yeah.
down. Beating it. There's no cure, but numbers are still down. So it's like these new chances on life that we've been given. So that's kind of what EverStrong stands for. Just kind of fighting battles, making it through. There's always, no matter how down you might be, how sucky things might be right now, how bad things are going. We always try to look for the positive. Sorry, I just got a really bad toe cramp. Always try to look for the positive in things. And look for the bright side of the future, and always look up, and we're trying to inspire people, and kind of find people who have done that too, and we kind of want to put together, we've been just a little post on Instagram about like kind of highlighting people who have done that. We're trying to get that together. We want to do a lot more cool things with it over the time. We want to put together like events and stuff, like retreats and stuff like that. um, so that's really how it came about, and we have a YouTube. There's nothing on it yet, but we're starting up YouTube. We want to put a lot of informational things about just everything, lifting, life, you name it. We want to put it on there. What our message is and stuff like that. So that's coming. The EverStrong. It's the EverStrong. I think YouTube has ats now, so it's at the EverStrong. We're gonna get a lot of stuff uploaded on that and going there. So, and we have a website, theeverstrong.com. Right now we got merch like this shirt and hat, and we got some supplements on there. And we got a lot more cool things that we want to do. So hopefully we can get that going. It picks up, and we can kind of really get going what we want with that.
Yeah, and I think it's awesome. But if you had to kind of give your mission statement for it, like what would you? I mean, you might have one on the website, but what's kind of the mission statement for this?
I know it. Every time I get asked, I draw blanks. And I sound so dumb when I say this. I'm like, what is I can It's one of those things like I got this and I just can't remember it. Um, so it is on the website. So go to the website. I'm gonna screw it up if I try to say it and remember it, but it's on the website. It's great. So go on there, click on stuff, get a shirt, get something. But it's on there. And so um yeah, it's not just powerlifting related. It's not just weightlifting related. That is a big part because that's what world I'm in right now, and she was a part of. But it goes across all platforms, life, training, everything like that.
And with the approach of it being kind of both, how do you plan on sort of kind of merging those worlds together?
Uh, we kind of taking that in stride, kind of just seeing how it goes, how we can, and because I know she really wants to do some type of retreat with a group of people to do X, Y, and Z. We're trying to put pieces together while dealing with everything in life right now. So we don't really have like definitive plan of how to get these together. I think we're just going to try to make it come naturally, and whatever comes of that. Um, it'll happen. We don't have the ins and outs just yet of how to make everything kind of smoothly collab.
Yeah, and with I know you mentioned the retreats, but with the events or the retreats, what are from I guess not philosophical standpoint, but sort of more than just like what you're doing. What's the mission behind that? Not like what's the what is the goal to get out of that?
Yeah, just to kind of give people, you don't necessarily have to be down and out, but like hope, drive. Um, it's just a fun getaway. Just something like we're all going through crap in our life. Like maybe it's go out and just no cell phones, no technology and stuff like that, and just live like kind of new aspect. Just kind of bring brighter uh, vision and stuff like that to your outlook on life and stuff like that. She has more of the details on what she wants to do on the retreats and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just more of a happy. I keep repeating myself like 50 times, but so it's stuff like that. Yeah,
But I think it's more of a double-edged sword, not necessarily sword, double-edged sword, but in the aspect of for quote unquote normal people, it gives them that relief, that escape from all the bullshit going on in the world right now. But from a powerlifting perspective, it's the opposite because a lot of us, well, not the opposite, but a lot of us use powerlifting as that same sort of escape, but sometimes some of us get a little too bogged down in the numbers and the competitors and all that, that we need a break from that as well. So it kind of has that hybrid aspect of it.
that's exactly it. That you saying it better than I do. You want to join the team? The hybrid aspect, perfect. Because I probably you too sometimes can get, especially when the meat comes up, it's so bogged down and this is it. Like the meat's the only thing that matters. This is my numbers are the only thing I care about right now. And it's like there's so much more in the world that's going on, and that you can that when you're stressing out about numbers and stuff, like just take a step back. Like try and take a step back and see what else out there's so much more out there that um then you can still like these numbers and be obsessed with powerlifting, but it doesn't have to be literally you 24/7 all the time.
Yeah,
So
and for me, we could talk about that a little bit. Is I was in prep from when did I start for September? Probably July. I was in basically prep from July till February because I did 3 meets over that time span, and it's one of those things where, no, I didn't get burnt out, but the reason I'm taking some time right now to do this bodybuilding cut and then maybe do a raw meet and then wait until the fall in October to do the WPO is to prevent that burnout, and that's one of the things is I saw that road starting to form of, oh, he's doing 5 meets a year, and then he's gonna be done with powerlifting in 5 years type of thing rather than playing the long game, waiting for the numbers to come into themselves rather than you chasing them.
that's 100% correct. I find myself doing the same thing as far as taking breaks before I need to take breaks. It's just like deload weeks. Take a deload before you need to
Need it.
deload.
Yep,
It's a
exactly.
100% right. Like especially with you being a full power lifter all the time, like that's crazy to do 5 meet. You're gonna get burned, no matter how much you love it. You're one of these meets is gonna end, and you're gonna be like, I don't want to do this anymore. And so, yeah, taking a break from that, you don't. Nobody ever wants to hit that point. And I've seen people do it. I had old training partners, man, a couple that were so good, had so much potential, raw guys, and then they just did 1 meet and had burnout, and never came back. So yeah, it's always good to take these little breaks, and especially mentally. It's all it is. The burnout is mental. It's never really physical, unless you get hurt, like some type of injury. But it's all a mental game. So if you can escape mentally, and that's a big part of, like you said, what we were trying to do mentally, just escape the world and everything. So you kind of can forget about everything and have a new outlook when you come back to it.
Yeah, and what are the signs of that burnout starting to form? Because I believe the obvious one would just be like you're not enjoying it, but there's probably little tells and signs along the way before you get to that point that maybe some people could recognize and like be able to divert their path before it gets to that point.
Yeah, I think again, it might be obvious, but little. If you're starting to hurt or maybe get injured a little bit more or more often or than you have been in the past. And and that could come from just lifting heavier, you're getting stronger and stuff. But when you kind of notice those things and then pushing through it, pushing trying to push through it too much. Like it's one thing to hurt and stuff. Is, oh no, we're powerlifters, we're big, strong, tough. We're like I lift through the pain. No, you don't. There's if you have to miss this meet because you're too hurt, it's okay. Take the time, rest. Your body's gonna thank you later, and you're gonna come back better whenever you do decide to do the next meet, and you're gonna enjoy it, and you're not gonna get that burnout because yeah, like I said, let's repeat myself, but sometimes that burnout could be that last one, and you don't want that. I don't want that to happen for myself, and then so yeah, just try and find the little signs like that, like little too many injuries, little too many times you're not wanting to go to the gym. You're saying, I don't feel like going. I don't feel like going. And then you look at 3 weeks later, you missed 5 sessions. It's like, well, something's going on.
Yeah, I guess if you wanted to put it into like a a quantitative way, if kind of keep it in track your mind or even write it down, have a little checklist of like, all right, that's been 3 times. You get 3 strikes. If you don't go to the gym, or if you don't want to go to the gym, that's the first strike. If you skip a gym session, that's strike two. And then if you start missing like three in a month or something, like take a look back, see what you're doing wrong, what adjustments you need to make. Because the number one thing that kills a powerlifter's career is obviously injury, but burnout is like we always talk about the flash in the pan. And there's so many great lifters that they just do a shitload of meets at once. They get a really good total, and then they just disappear off the face of the earth. And it's something that obviously mindset and like looking at the long game is a very difficult thing. Humans can't really comprehend that for the most part. So if you kind of put it down on paper and be like, all right, I see myself starting to be less disciplined, and yeah, motivation drops, but motivation never matters, to be honest, anyways, for anyone that's elite. But I think that's a good way of maybe approaching that.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think one way to help prevent that too, I was thinking about what you're saying is as powerlifters, as gear prep, we want to go heavy a lot, probably more than we should. And it's okay to go lighter. It's okay to take that 70% day when your body's not feeling like going 90%. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to help in the long run tremendously. Listening to your body's huge, and it just goes along with everything you just said.
Yeah, but I think we can wrap things up here. So I'll ask you my final question. If you could give a new powerlifter or someone going into their first meet a word of advice, what would you tell them?
Uh, and take it all in. Like just really enjoy everything. Try to enjoy it. You're gonna have anxiety, you're gonna be stressed a little bit. And that's good. But try to also shift that stress and anxiety because your body doesn't know the difference into excitement. Your body internally doesn't know the difference in that feeling. So try to if you're too anxious or you're feeling too much anxiety, try to think of a way you can get more excited about it and just take it all in. Sometimes it goes by so fast and you're like the meet's over, you don't even realize. You're just like, okay, what do I got to do now? What's next on squats? What's the next warm up? Instead of really enjoying each step of the way, each lift, each warm up, you're really just kind of taking it all in and enjoying it for what it is. um that and then just don't really cut weight for your first meet.
Yeah.
If unless you're like 2 pounds, even then, I would your first meet just don't cut any weight. If anything, eat more. You're gonna feel better. You're gonna be happier with your numbers.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And kind of before we wrap things up, we'll just everyone still listening, just we'll keep it quiet for now, but just we'll stay tuned for some cool news coming with what we're doing. And so, but I wanted to thank you again for taking the time to come on, and yeah, we'll have you in the announcement pretty soon. So
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. That and having me on again. Let me talk more bench. So I'll always be down for that. So I appreciate that.
sweet. All right. Listen, I don't have a beard. I've got this glorious mustache. But even this stash deserves elite care. That's where Wicked Wolf Beard Co. comes into play. Their oils and balms keep the face fuzz fresh, soft, and ready for action. No crusty cowboy nonsense here. It smells great, feels great, and makes me look more like I lift heavy things. Beard, mustache, or something in between, Wicked Wolf's got your mug covered. Wicked Wolf Beard Co. Respect the stash. Head on over to Wicked Wolf Beard Co. and use code PLDEN for 25% off your order.